Hello, this is Michael Gatorno with SEMA, the Senior Insurance Marketing Association. Today we're going to take a look at a Part D diagram, a visual walkthrough, Part D. Now when I sat down with my clients, rather than try and explain the movements of Part D by using a chart or the Medicare New Book, I would illustrate it. But just make sure, before I forget to tell you, don't leave this illustration behind because it is not CMS approved. So on a yellow pad, or I'd flip my client info sheet over, which is blank on the back side, I would draw this diagram. It would go like this. Well, Mr. Smith, I'm going to show you how Part D works. We're going to use a $20 example drug. It can be any drug. Let's just say it's a $20 generic. So you've got you and the insurance company. Now, with this $20 drug, let's say you have a $5 copay. The insurance company is going to put in 15. 15 and 5 is obviously 20. And this will go on. You'll pay your copay. The insurance company will pay their remainder until we reach $2,970, the initial coverage limit. This initial coverage limit is the same with any Part D plan. They all follow this exact number, $2,970. This is when you actually hit the donut hole or the coverage gap. And you'll pay for your drugs out of pocket until you reach $4,750. Now, if we just take a look at this right here, you might say to yourself, well, that's a difference of $1,780 from the initial coverage limit to the end of the gap. Because once you get through the gap, you'll just pay a small percentage of your costs. But that's not how it works. What happens is when you hit the initial coverage limit, Medicare only looks at what you paid, not what the insurance company. So to give you an example of that, let's say you spent $1,000 to keep numbers nice and round in copays to get to that initial coverage limit. That means the insurance company has spent $1,970. So Medicare is going to look at that $1,000, and your coverage gap will be $3,750, or the difference of $4,750 to $1,000, which is a pretty significant number. So what they've done with the plans is they've eliminated that number and given you some discounts. Once you hit the coverage gap, you'll save 52.5% on name brand drugs, but the nice thing is the total drug cost counts towards the coverage gap. So if it's a $100 name brand drug, even though you saved 52.5%, the entire $100 counts towards the donut hole or coverage gap. However, on generic drugs, you'll save 21%, but only what you pay out of pocket counts towards the coverage gap. So in this example, you'll pay less than $3,750 for your coverage gap, but we don't know how much because it depends on what name brand drugs you're on, how many generics you're on, and so forth. But this example that I just showed you is how I explained Part D to clients, and most of the time they had a lot less questions at the end than trying to read it off a grid. Some other things I'd remind my clients of is that October is National Donut Hole Month, not the fun donut holes listed or pictured there, but the coverage gap. Most people that hit the coverage gap would hit in October, and staying it November, December, and then of course January there'd be a reset. They will receive statements so they could track their progress throughout the year to see how far they are from the coverage gap and when they get in it, when they'll get out. I do advise them if they do have any $4 generic drugs they can get from retail chains or local grocery stores, not to run against their insurance, just because it's $4 if they run it through insurance, $4 if they don't, and they'll help give them a little more cushion towards the coverage gap if it's something that they're worried about. And that Social Security in some states have assistance programs. One thing I didn't put on here, of course, is look into mail order as well. Some carriers offer some pretty steep mail order discounts. Some people go for it, some people don't like that. Of course, it depends on your client. Now, I am filming this, or excuse me, I am recording this about halfway through 2013, but 2014 numbers did come out. The maximum deductible is going down to $310. The initial coverage limit is going down to $2,850. If you're telling this to your clients, remind them that that number going down is not a good thing, because that just means they'll hit the donut hole a little quicker. So a little more cushion this year than it will next year. Out of pocket does help a little bit. It's going to $4,550. And then the coverage gap discounts, the generic drugs will jump up to 28%, and name brand will stay the same at 52.5%. These plans, if you have been in Medicare before, I've looked at past plans, the numbers are very close to 2011 numbers. So if you're talking to clients who've been in the Medicare field for some time or had some different Part D plans, I'd say basically what your 2011 looked like is going to look very similar to this year. depending you're not on any different drugs. So hopefully you got some use out of this. You could use that diagram, of course, to help explain Part D to your clients, or change it up to make it fit your style. Don't forget to join SEMA for free at sema-net.com. Again, my name is Michael Gatorna, and I thank you for watching.